The one-centered arch in its simplest form is the Roman or semicircular arch. It is described by a half or semicircle, with its diameter equal to the span of the arch. The span between the starting and end point of an arch is called the spring line. The center point for this type of arch is located at the midpoint of the spring line, and the required radius of the arc is simply half the span. To draw out the Roman arch, place the pivot point of the trammel at the center point and slide the marking point out to an end point of the spring line to set the radius. Then swing the trammel to draw out the arch. The height or rise of a semicircular arch cannot always be incorporated into a design. A variation is to use just a segment of a larger circle. The circle that makes up this segmental arch still has its center aligned with the midpoint of the span, but it's dropped below the spring line and its radius is increased. This type of arch is called a segmental or segmented arch, since we're only using a segment of the circle. If you know the required span and height, the required radius can be calculated, but it can also be constructed using geometry. First, draw a perpendicular line from the midpoint of the spring line to the desired height. Next, use a straight edge to connect the top of the height line to an end point of the spring line. This line creates a chord for the desired arc. To find the center point of the arc, bisect the chord line by finding its midpoint, and then draw a perpendicular line that extends below the spring line and past the center. This operation can be repeated on the opposite side, or a perpendicular line can be extended below the midpoint of the spring line. All these lines intersect at the same point, the new center of the arch. The radius for this arch is the distance between the center point and an end point of the spring line. To draw out the arch, place the pivot point of the trammel on the center point and then slide the marking point out to an end point. Then swing an arc to close off the top of the arch.